I met Rachel in college. She was the kind of person who walked into a room and made everyone feel like they belonged, bubbly, sharp, confident. We instantly clicked. From late-night study sessions to weekend road trips, we became inseparable. She was more than my best friend. She was like a sister. After graduation, we both drifted into the corporate world, but we always talked about starting something together. One day, we'd say over coffee, we'll open our own business. It became our shared dream, and in a world that often felt unpredictable, it was our constant, fast-forward 5 years, and that one day finally came. I had saved up a modest amount after years of budgeting and sacrifices. Rachel had just left her job in marketing and said she was ready to take a leap. Together, we opened Bloom and Ground, a boutique floral and plant studio in the heart of the city. It was quaint, beautiful, and bursting with personality, just like us. We split responsibilities. I handled the finances and operations. Rachel was in charge of client relations, social media, and events. We had complementary strengths, and for a while, it was magic. We laughed more than we worked, and clients loved our dynamic. But slowly, cracks began to show. Rachel started arriving late. She'd say she was networking or meeting with potential clients, but she was vague. Then there were the purchases, designer shoes charged to the business card, overpriced lunches she called business meetings, and cash withdrawals I didn't authorize. I tried to rationalize it. She's just stressed. She's investing in the image. She'll come around. But my gut said otherwise. One day, I walked into the shop and the air felt empty. The shelves were half bare, the plants neglected. Rachel was nowhere in sight. I checked the business account. It was nearly drained, $47,000 gone. I froze. My heart pounded as I dialed her number. No answer. Texted. No response. I called again and again and again. Voicemail. I ran through our shared cloud folders. She had removed herself from everything. Our email, she locked me out. The Instagram we built, she changed the password. My entire world, everything we created together, had just vanished. She disappeared. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. I just stood there in the middle of the shop we built from scratch, surrounded by empty pots, dead leaves, and betrayal. So thick I could barely breathe. My best friend, my sister, my business partner, had stolen everything. I sat on the floor of our shop, numb. The silence felt heavier than anything I'd ever experienced. Customers knocked on the door. I didn't answer. My phone buzzed with notifications. I didn't look. All I could do was try to breathe. Eventually, I pulled myself together enough to open the laptop. I combed through every transaction. Rachel had slowly been siphoning money for months, not just through the business card, but PayPal, Venmo, wire transfers I never noticed. I'd trusted her completely. I didn't think I had to watch her. She'd used my name to apply for a line of credit I never approved. I found it in our documents, buried under event expenses. But there were no events, just payments to her personal account. I felt sick. This wasn't just betrayal. It was fraud. I called our bank. They froze. What was left? A pitiful $312. I filed a report. Then I called a lawyer. He listened quietly, then said, "I hope you have everything in writing." I did, sort of. An email thread from a year ago about our agreement. Nothing formal, no signed contract, no clear percentages, nothing that could help me much in court. It was all based on trust, years of friendship and blind faith. Still, I filed a police report. The lawyer said it wouldn't be easy, and unless I could prove malicious intent, recovery would be slim. I was advised not to contact Rachel directly, but of course I did. I sent her one long message. I just want to know why. Why would you do this to me? To us? After everything? I stared at the screen for hours. She read it, never responded. Days passed, then a week, then 2. The shop had to close. I couldn't pay rent, couldn't restock, couldn't face the community that once adored us. People started asking questions. Where's Rachel? What happened to Bloom and Ground? I gave them vague answers. We're restructuring. It's temporary. Lies. I didn't have the strength to admit the truth. I moved back in with my parents. Canceled everything I could. Started selling whatever was left in the shop online. Furniture, tools, even decorative pots. Every piece sold felt like another piece of our dream being torn away. But I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was heartbroken. And somewhere deep down, still holding on to this impossible hope that maybe Rachel would come back, explain everything, apologize. But she never did, and the silence became louder than any explanation she could have given. It wasn't long before the whispers began. A friend from our florist community messaged me. I saw Rachel at a pop-up in the city. She's using our old logo. I froze. I clicked the photos she sent. Rachel was there, smiling behind a table full of succulents and artisan planters, our aesthetic. The banner behind her read, Bloom Revival Co. Same font, same style. It was unmistakably derived from Bloom and Ground. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. This wasn't just her stealing money. This was her stealing the identity of the business we built together. My ideas, my branding, my vision, all being repackaged under a new name like none of it ever belonged to me. The audacity left me breathless. I sent the photos to my lawyer. He confirmed it would be difficult to claim ownership of a brand never legally trademarked. We'd never gone through those steps. We were just 2 best friends who thought we'd never need legal protection from each other. And Rachel was betting on that. I started talking not to accuse, but to warn. Quietly, I let vendors know she wasn't to be trusted. I told a few colleagues from the community what had happened. Some of them were shocked. Some, not so much. One of them said, "Honestly, I always got weird vibes from her, like she loved the spotlight but never actually did the work." Another, "She once asked me how hard it would be to set up her own shop without the dead weight." I was the dead weight, apparently. Looking back, there had been signs, little comments, sideways glances. That one time she showed up late to a bridal event and said, "Sorry, babe, you're the responsible one anyway." I laughed it off then. I thought it was a compliment. Now I saw it clearly. Rachel never respected me. She envied me. She needed me. Until she didn't. But I wasn't going to let her rewrite the story. So I created a video. Raw, honest, tearful. I didn't name her directly, but I shared the truth. How I trusted someone too much. How friendship blurred into business. How I lost everything but found clarity in the wreckage. It went viral. Women from all over messaged me, sharing similar stories. Friendships that turned toxic. Partnerships that ended in betrayal. I wasn't alone. And somehow, that made the pain more bearable. I began to heal. Not through revenge, not through lawsuits, but through community, through owning my story, through realizing that what Rachel took was money, but what I still had was integrity. That was something no one could steal. 6 months after Rachel disappeared with the money and hijacked our brand identity, I walked past an empty storefront 2 blocks from my apartment. It had tall windows, chipped paint, and a faded for lease sign. Most people would see a dead space. I saw a blank canvas. Something in me whispered, "Start again." I didn't have the savings I once had. Rachel had wiped out most of it. But I had credit, a modest loan, And something even more powerful. A loyal community that believed in me after I told my story. I launched a crowdfunding campaign with a simple title: Help Me Rebuild What She Stole. In less than 48 hours, I raised over $20,000. Messages poured in: strangers, past clients, florists, even people who had watched my video and never bought a single flower from me. They believed in me because they'd lived betrayal too, and they wanted to see someone rise from it. I signed the lease the next week. With every coat of paint I rolled onto the walls, I felt lighter, stronger. I wasn't recreating Bloom & Ground. I was creating something new, something entirely mine. I called it Rooted, because no matter what had been taken from me, I was still rooted in creativity, resilience, and truth. The grand opening was small, intimate. Local musicians played acoustic covers. My mom brought cookies. My former assistant, the one Rachel once called too slow, hugged me with tears in her eyes. She now worked full-time for me. 2 weeks later, someone slid into my DMs. "Hey, just thought you should know. Rachel's shop shut down." It turns out that without the emotional glue and work ethic I brought, her business crumbled. Her vendors backed out. Clients ghosted her. And eventually, so did the spotlight she so desperately craved. I should have felt vindicated, but I didn't. I felt nothing. She had chosen shortcuts. I had chosen roots. Months passed. Rooted flourished. I taught weekend classes, held floral therapy nights for women healing from toxic relationships, personal and professional. We laughed, cried, created. Together. Then one day I got a letter, handwritten, from Rachel. She apologized, said she made a mistake, that she missed me, that she'd gone through therapy and realized what she had destroyed. She wanted to meet, talk, start over. Maybe not as partners, but at least as friends. I read the letter twice, then folded it and placed it in a drawer. Some doors once closed don't need to be reopened, not out of hate, but out of wisdom. Smiled, looked around my shop, and realized she didn't just steal my money, she gave me my freedom, and this time I knew exactly what to do with it.